You want to be liberated from the chaos of working in your business, and we're here to help you do it. This is Scott Beebe, the founder and the head coach of the Business on Purpose platform. And take a listen in as we answer a real life in the trench question for one of our small business owners. We got a question this morning that I wanted to respond to. We responded to it this morning, clearly. That would have been awkward. But I wanted to respond to it on Facebook Live because I think a lot of you might have the same question. And the question is, if I'm a small business owner, I own my own business, right? We think it's kind of the Wild West. We'll shoot guns and do whatever the heck we want to do. I'll take off whenever I want to take off. I'm not going to work for anybody, And the reality is being a small business owner, a lot of times you can end up just creating another job for yourself and really working for other people that are just have the same name as you and look exactly like you. And so the question is, do small business owners and organizational leaders need to have a set schedule during the week? And if so, what does that look like? And love to hear your feedback on this in time to see if you believe that, and if you do you have a weekly set schedule? I'll let you know that I do have a pretty tight weekly set schedule. It's super important for me, in part because I'm a systems process guy. That's kind of what we do. And in being a systems process guy, I also realize there's great value in what we call predictability. And so if you are a person that is prone to unpredictability, what that can tend to do is lead to a culture around you that is deeply unpredictable. And so I want to create a culture around us that's relatively predictable, not in a mundane or boring way, but it's predictable in a way that we can be counted on. That's the kind of predictability that I want to be able to instill and install into the culture of what we're trying to build. So do you need a weekly schedule, small business owner? I believe 100% you do. Are there certain situations where that could be counterproductive? Maybe so. I just don't know what they are. And so our encouragement is to have a weekly schedule and do what Cal Newport talks about in his book, Deep Work, and that is to have focused blocks of time. And the reason we need to have focused blocks of time is because statistically, what I've seen in some of the research, I think it was a study out of the University of California, it says it takes about 23 minutes to get back on task once you've been knocked off task. So 23 minutes to get back on task once you've been knocked off task. So take email. You know what they say about email? Email is someone else's agenda for your day. And it's so true, right? Email really is someone else's agenda for your day. Facebook is somebody else's information for your day. But what do? We get so sidetracked by it. We scroll and scroll, or we look up and down, or we use it as our to-do, our task list. And what ends up happening is that begins to dominate our day. So the haphazard optional stuff begins to dominate the focused non-negotiable time. So did you get that? So the haphazard optional stuff begins to dominate the focused non-negotiable time. We can begin to replace our non-negotiable time with what we could classify or consider, what an outsider would look at and say, man, I don't know, that sounds pretty optional to me, And so we want to be focused on making sure that we've got a weekly. Now, how do you build out a weekly schedule? Well, it's actually quite simple. We've got a simple template that we build. Again, all of our stuff is super simple, not rocket science. It's just putting your times of the day on the left-hand column, 5 in the morning, 5:15, 5:30, or you can go 5, 5:30, 6, whatever you want to do. And then across the top, just put Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever days you work. And in those days, where you want to start is with the big rocks, the big chunks, things like team meetings, things like working out, getting ready, things you really can't adjust. They're really important. And so you begin there with the big rocks, and then you move to smaller rocks that are non-negotiable, things that are classified as what we call working on your business kind of rocks, not technical stuff, but things that are going to help push the business forward long-term, vision, mission, values, systems, processes. Those are going to be the next level of rocks you want to put in there. And then we're going to get to the smaller rocks, the technical rocks, the things that we can put in there that we can maneuver around. Here's what we want to prevent. If you've got a non-negotiable tomorrow at 9 a.m., and you get a phone call from a buddy who says, hey, can you get together tomorrow at 9 a.m.? You want your first response to be, I don't think I can because we've got a non-negotiable in there. Is there another time you can get together? That's usually how you want your first response to be. Again, are there exceptions? Of course there are. But we don't want the exceptions to very much become our rule. What instead we want to do is we want to rule or dominate our weekly schedule because it creates that level of predictability in people around us. And quite frankly, your vendors, suppliers, customers, team members, your family, they need predictability for what you're going to do. They might call you a robot. They might say that it's boring, it's mundane, it's whatever. But you know what? It's predictable. And that predictability is going to create stability in the culture that you're trying to build and having a weekly schedule. So do I believe you need a weekly schedule? 100% I do. How do we build it? Start with the times of the day. Start with the days of the week that you work. Go big rocks. Then smaller rocks that are work on your business. Then you can build in the back end of that with all the other stuff that pipes in. All right? And you can start filling those in. What you're going to see on that spreadsheet is you're going to see white spaces. Spaces where there's nothing there. And in those cases, that's where you've got some what we call built-in haphazard time. We don't want our schedule to be haphazard. We want to schedule our haphazard. All right? I don't know. It sounds kind of crazy. And again, some of you might think this is overly regimented. I want to challenge you on that because a lot of times small business owners feel chaotic. They feel like they're being pulled in 17 different directions. And one of the primary reasons for that is because they don't have a defined schedule. They're blown by the wind. And you know what? Proverbially, with wisdom, that's usually not a good thing. It's when we're blown by the wind. Do we need to have scheduled time for that? Yes, we need to have time for that. There comes a time where my family and I, we just go to a place and we really don't have a schedule. That's our time to kind of be blown by the wind, right? But during your work time, that's really not a great time to be blown by the wind. So you don't want your schedule to dominate you. You want to dominate your schedule. And it's a way that you can bring some order to the chaos into your business that you may have.
Now it's time to implement. Want more free resources to help liberate you from your chaos? Go to mybusinessonpurpose.com. We would love to have you share and write a review of this podcast. It'd be our delight. But here's the bottom line for you. It's time to implement. With all of these questions, the feedback, the insight, if you don't implement, well, it's what Joe Calloway said. Vision without implementation is hallucination. So go live out your business on purpose.